Critical Man Pictures presents the Forex video training series, Greenbelt, MACD. MACD is an acronym for Moving Average Convergence Divergence. This tool is used to identify moving averages that are indicating a new trend, no matter direction. As traders, our top priority is to find a trend because that is where the most money is made. With a MACD chart, you will usually see three numbers for its setting. The first is the number of periods that is used to calculate the faster moving average. The second is the number of periods that is used to calculate the slower moving average. The third is the number of bars that is used to calculate the moving average of the difference of the faster and slower moving averages. For example, if you were to see 12, 26, 9 as the MACD parameters, which is usually the default setting for most charting packages, this is how you would interpret the numbers. The 12 represents the previous 12 bars of the faster moving average. The 26 represents the previous 26 bars of the slower moving average. The 9 represents the previous 9 bars of the difference between the two moving averages. This is plotted by vertical lines called a histogram, the green lines on the MACD chart. There is a common misconception when it comes to the lines of the MACD. The two lines that are drawn are not moving averages of price. Instead, they are the moving averages of the difference between two moving averages. In the example, the faster moving average is the average of the difference between 12 and 26 period moving averages. The slower moving average plots the average of the previous MACD line. Once again, this would be a 9-period moving average. This means that we are taking the average of the last 9 periods of the faster MACD line and plotting it as our slower moving average. This smoothens out the original line even more, which gives us a more accurate line. The histogram simply plots the difference between the fast and slow moving averages. If you look at the original chart, you'll see that the two moving averages separate, the histogram gets bigger. This is called divergence because the faster moving average is diverging or moving away from the slower moving average. If the moving averages get closer to each other, the histogram gets smaller. This is called convergence because the faster moving average is converging or getting closer to a moving average. And this is how you see it on our chart. How to trade using the MACD. Because there are two moving averages with different speeds, the faster one will obviously be quicker to react to price movement than the slower one. When a new trend occurs, the fast line will react first and eventually cross the slower line. When this crossover occurs, the line starts to diverge or move away from the slower line and often indicates the start of a new trend. In the example, you see the fast line has crossed under the slow line and correctly identified a new downtrend. Notice that when the line crosses, the histogram temporarily disappears. This is because the difference between the lines at the time of the cross is 0. As the downtrend begins, the fast line diverges away from the slow line. The histogram gets bigger, which is a good indication of a strong trend. Taking a look at the example still, this is the euro-dollar 1-hour chart. The fast line crossed below the slow line while the histogram momentarily disappeared. This suggested that the uptrend would eventually reverse. From this, the euro-dollar began to take a quick down, then up, then start its downtrend. Imagine if you went short after the crossover. You would have gained nearly 200 pips. There is one drawback to the MACD. Naturally, moving averages tend to lag behind price. After all, it's just an average of historical prices. Since the MACD represents moving average of other moving average and is smoothed out by another moving average, you can imagine that there is quite a bit of lag. Having said this, however, MACD is still one of the favorite tools used by many traders.